Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that honestly really surprised me when looking at the source material, the psychology behind people who build wealth from absolute zero. We've all heard those classic rags to riches stories, right? But too often, we just focus on the lucky break, the specific business they started, or that one exact moment they made it big. But what we usually miss is the invisible cognitive engine driving all of those external events. So today, we're diving deep into the precise mental traits that completely separate those who rise from absolutely nothing from those who remain stuck.
All right, let's just jump right in and ask the most critical question here. What do you think is the actual biggest advantage when you're starting with absolutely nothing? You might think the answer is simply, working twice as hard as everyone else, or maybe just sheer luck. But the research and data point us in a completely different direction. Think about it. When you strip away all financial resources, network connections, and safety nets, you are really only left with one single tool.
And that brings us to the two very different outcomes of starting with zero. Some stay trapped by scarcity, while others use it as powerful fuel. Two people can experience the exact same lack of resources, right? The first person looks at their empty bank account, feels completely paralyzed, and gets convinced that the scarcity is basically a cage. But the second person looks at that exact same empty bank account, and instead of a cage, they see a launch pad. The financial condition is identical, but the psychological processing of that condition dictates completely opposite behaviors.
So, here's our agenda for the explainer. 1. The psychology of zero. 2. Mastering time and identity. 3. Action and controlled risk. 4. Driven by pain. And 5. Building the mind first.
Okay, section 1, the psychology of zero.
Here's the thing. The biggest advantage in the beginning is rarely money. It is almost entirely psychology. People who get rich from zero don't just work harder physically. They think fundamentally differently about risk, time, identity, and discomfort. When you literally have $0, your psychology is your only operating capital. It's the only thing dictating whether you fold under the pressure of having nothing or whether you MacGyver a way out of it using just your mindset.
Moving right along to section 2, mastering time and identity. So for our first real trait here, we're looking at a pretty stark contrast. The average mindset naturally chases immediate pleasure, while the wealth builder sacrifices comfort for a gain later down the road. Psychology directly links wealth building with delayed gratification. It's that rare ability to value a future reward so heavily that you can easily just ignore your present comfort. While the average person might seek a quick dopamine hit, or maybe a cozy Netflix binge to escape the day's stress, the builder just embraces those incredibly boring, slow seasons.
I absolutely love this quote because it hits the nail right on the head. They don't need life to feel good today. They need it to improve tomorrow. This is just a massive shift in how you view time. They aren't trying to optimize for a comfortable Tuesday evening. They are completely sacrificing it for a totally different life a decade from now.
All right, trait number 2. This is all about identity. There's a huge difference between thinking like someone who is permanently stuck and actually detaching your core identity from your current circumstances. It is so easy and, hey, completely understandable to look at a rundown apartment or a minimum wage job and internalize that as who you are, to say, I am poor. But the data shows that people who rise from nothing completely detach their identity from that current reality.
It comes down to this. People who rise from nothing separate their temporary condition from who they believe they can become. Because psychology shows us that identity shapes behavior, they don't worship their present condition. Instead, they just use it as a stepping stone. If you believe your core identity is a broke person, well, your behavior is going to subconsciously align with staying broke. By viewing their lack of wealth as just a temporary passing season, they totally free themselves up to adopt the habits of the person they are actively becoming.
Which brings us to section 3, action and controlled risk.
Let's talk about trait 3, experiential learning. This means creating competence through repetition, testing, failing, and adapting rather than waiting for perfection. A lot of us suffer from analysis paralysis, right? We wait until we feel perfectly ready or until we have the flawless business plan. But people who successfully build from zero have this incredible growth orientation. They know you don't get the map before you enter the woods. You literally draw the map as you walk.
This quote right here says it all. Quiet builders start before confidence arrives. They aren't waiting around for some magical feeling of perfection to feel ready. They act to create their own growth. Confidence isn't a prerequisite for starting at all. Confidence is the reward you get after you've taken action and actually survived those initial messy failures. Okay, trait 4 is mastering controlled risk. Taking calculated discomfort and managing uncertainty is way different than just gambling blindly. There's this huge misconception out there that self-made wealthy people are just these reckless cowboys throwing all their chips on red. But the data actually shows the exact opposite. Successful risk takers do not love danger. They are highly calculated. They figure out how to manage uncertainty rather than avoiding it entirely.
Because when you're starting from nothing, you are inevitably going to face uncertainty in areas exactly like these: starting businesses, changing careers entirely, investing, relocating to a totally new city, or spending your weekends learning complex new skills. You simply cannot get out of zero without taking on some level of calculated discomfort. It's mandatory.
Now for section 4, driven by pain. This brings us to our 5th trait, and honestly, it's a fascinating psychological pivot. When it comes to motivation, using praise as fuel is actually kind of weak. Pain, on the other hand, pain is an incredibly powerful fuel. We're always taught to seek positive reinforcement, to want a pat on the back, or visualize a sunny future to get motivated. But psychology suggests that emotionally charged motivation, specifically negative emotion, can actually sustain your effort for much, much longer periods. Praise wears off quickly, but man, pain lingers.
We're talking about motivation that stems from deep, raw memories. It might be the humiliation of a declined credit card at the grocery store, the deep insecurity of watching your parents struggle, or just visceral experiences of lack, like not having enough food. These aren't pleasant memories for sure, but they burn incredibly hot. When delayed gratification gets tough, they tap into this reserve of negative emotion to just keep pushing.
It boils down to this incredibly powerful idea. They don't chase applause, they chase escape. I mean, wow. They're not looking to look cool on social media or get a round of applause from their friends. The drive is so much more primal than that. They are running away from the pain of zero just as much, if not way more, than they are running toward the pleasure of millions.
And finally, section 5, building the mind first. If you take anything away from this entire explainer, let it be this. Before people build wealth, they usually build a mind that can handle the road to it. Getting rich from zero is rarely just a financial thing. The mindset absolutely has to come first. The money, it's really just a lagging indicator. Long before the bank account fills up, the mental architecture has already been built. They've learned to delay reward, maintain a flexible identity, act relentlessly, and use their pain as fuel years before the financial architecture ever actually materializes. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder for your own life. When you look at those who literally build everything from absolutely nothing, which of these truly matters more? Is it the external opportunity they happen to find? Is it the brute force discipline they exert? Or is it that underlying psychology that allows them to perceive scarcity as a powerful fuel rather than a trap? Thank you so much for exploring this source material with me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.